Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Beyond the Finish Line. You're chatting with myself, Georgia. Hello, and Coach Matt. How you going, Matt?
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Great for what is it, Tuesday night?
Yeah, we're a little bit still out of routine with you coming back. We normally record on Mondays, but
We
it's all
do.
good.
You've been very gracious in letting me kind of work myself out this week. But when Matt messaged me today, he's like, hey, so are we going to record? And I was like, oh my God, what day is it? Where am I? I'm so out of whack, but I think I'm getting there.
I think a couple of basically straight back to work. So a couple of days you'll be back in a
Yeah.
rhythm.
I really was. I got off the plane and pretty much the next day straight into work, a work function, like everything. So no time to rest, but that's okay. Back into it, back into the socials, back into brand partnerships, everything. So it's fun. I like it.
I think that's the best way to do it. Is like the people who come home and then have 2 or 3 days off from coming home before they start work. Feel like you feel worse. Like you're like, oh my God, now
Yeah.
I've got to. You start dreading work. It's like, but straight back into the fire.
Totally. That's exactly what Nick did. He didn't go back until yesterday and he was like, oh my God, it's like Sunday, tomorrow's Monday. And I was like, oh, I'm already back into it. My routine is back. So
Yeah,
I didn't miss my Monday run. I was on it, whereas he woke up and he couldn't get out for his run. And I was like, oh, you have made a big mistake, my friend.
yeah. Rookie error.
Rookie error. How's your week been, Matt, in the last week since we spoke?
Yeah, just finished peak week of Ironman training, so
And that's
sort of
for those that aren't quite sure what peak week means. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just run us through what that means for you.
it is the biggest week of specific training you do throughout a training block to prepare you for a specific event.
Cool. That was very specific. I love it.
That's what it is, yeah.
What did it look like for you? What did you have to do this week? Some of your major
12
workouts.
12 Ks of swimming, 365 Ks on the bike, and 75 Ks of running.
That is wild. For context, my kind of peak weeks of marathon training might be about 75 to 80 kilometers of running. So, and you've done all the other stuff on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Capped it off with 40K run on Sunday, which was nice.
Yeah. And I mean, that in itself is a full-time job, but then you also have coaching on top of that.
Coaching, content, 2 different podcasts, about to be a third podcast, working on stuff for the business. Like we got heaps of stuff going
You
on.
just dropped that little bomb there, Matt. What's that one? I didn't know about this.
It's not up and running yet. It's one of my other athletes, Dave. He's a triathlete. We're
Yes.
going to do, I guess, a bit more triathlon specific. I like to think of our podcast here, Georgia. I would say, even though we do have a lot of male listeners, it is definitely more your audience, which is more
Yes.
female driven.
Yeah.
I would say the podcast Dave and I are going to do is more a
Blokey.
couple of boys talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of boys talking shit and talking sports, but it's going to be endurance focused. So
Cool. I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a space for that for sure.
yeah, it's just the inverse of what we do, basically. Like there's no like I said, I think this is more of a female driven podcast because of you and your following and the way we approach topics. That is going
Yep.
to be a bit more of a just 2 boys talking shit that's got some endurance focus.
Right. Okay. Will you guys have hosts or anything like that?
Guess, because I assume we'll be
Sorry,
the
not
hosts.
host. Guest. Oh my gosh. Will you have other guests?
Maybe we might bring on other athletes that like we're training with or who are doing same events as, but like pretty much the same sort of, honestly, the exact same as what you and I are doing, just
Yeah.
2 blokes as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. How good's
Yeah,
that?
so-
So, any highs and lows of the week?
Honestly, the high is obviously got through peak week injury free and just, I've ticked every single box, and I spent the other day going through my training peaks, and I've completed, like, in 6 months, I think I completed 99.2% of my sessions. So
Wow.
when I saw that, I was like, I can literally not do any more between now and between now and the race. So I've ticked every box, and that's That's it. So that's my high, that I've been as consistent as I've ever been in training.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. It's nothing better than, I guess, the consistency and feeling really good that you've, put in 110%.
Yeah. And it was funny because I actually got quite a few messages about the podcast we just did, your London Marathon, where we started talking about how the mind and body start syncing up.
Yeah.
Quite a few people messaged me about that, saying like that they resonated with it, and I really felt that at the end of the weekend, where I was just like, everything was just synced up, ready to go. So like, I've done the work that is required mentally and physically.
Yeah, I love that. And do you know what? I was actually editing that portion of the podcast video today on my way to work, and I was really reflecting on what we were talking about, and I really loved that conversation. I think it was really interesting, and I love that we're both kind of in that space at the moment as well. It was cool to really talk about how much your mind can affect your performance. So definitely something we should talk about more in the future.
Yeah, and I think you've really got. I thought about it more and more. And sorry, I will come back to asking you about your highs and lows, but just while we're on this,
no, it's fine. Go on.
While we're on this, I do think there is a certain part where you have to earn it. Like you have to work hard enough at both separately for them to come together. I think some people are really, really strong mentally, but don't do the physical training, and vice versa. And then they wonder why on the big day, the race day, it doesn't come together, or in training, it doesn't come together because they haven't worked at both equally.
Yeah.
And I think we put so much emphasis on the physical. We don't put enough on the mental, especially in endurance sport, and the toll it takes on you, because it's just day in, day out, session after session, brick after brick after brick. And like that wears people down.
Yeah. I read a really a really great quote the other day, and I shared it I'm going to find it now. I shared it on my stories, and it was basically, I'm just going to paraphrase it. It pretty much just talked about how lucky we are to be doing something that we love and feel exhausted by it. Oh, here it is. I found it. So it says, someone just said, what a blessing it is to be tired in the pursuit of a challenge of your own choosing. And honestly, that just completely rewired my brain. And I loved that. I thought that was really cool. It's kind of like, how lucky are we that we get to be exhausted from doing something that fills us with passion and excitement. And that really kind of spoke to me about marathon training, and I'm sure Ironman training as well. Is like, how good is it to be exhausted from this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, obviously, with the performance project, we've kind of coined the phrase do hard things. That's kind of our slogan, our internal slogan. It's something I always say to myself before is I get to do hard things. Like, it's not, I don't have to, like, I could do anything I want, but like I get to do hard things, whether that's business or training or whatever. And like that really helps me put things into focus.
Yeah, and I've always said to myself, like, I can do hard things, but I really like that you phrased it, I get to. And because that is such a thing, is that, I think sometimes we forget that we are very lucky to be able to do these things. There are people out there who don't get to go for a run, and that's why sometimes, or go for a bike ride or a swim, and sometimes we take that for granted. So it is nice to reflect on that and say, how good is it that I get to do these really hard things?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Georgia, talk to me about your highs and lows.
Oh, hello. Of course. Wow. Oh gosh. High of the week. I really enjoyed getting back into training. As I said to you last week, I feel like I'm really in sync at the moment. I'm really excited to be into this training block for Sydney. 14 weeks to go. I'm really keen to get back into some speed sessions. You're kind of ready to rip and tear when you can't do a session. Like last Friday, I couldn't do a particular session, and I looked at the session and I was like, that looks epic. And I don't normally look at sessions like that. I don't really even normally look at sessions in advance. And I mean, I looked at that and I was like, damn, I'm so sad I'm going to miss that particular session, which I've seen that you've repeated for me, which is great. But it was good to get out there, good to go for a long run on Sunday. It's just nice to be back into the swing of things. In terms of lows, I don't really have one this week. I'm a little bit tired, obviously. My hip is still sore, but like blah, blah, blah. I keep talking about it, whatever. Had my MRI. Let's wait and see what happens. So yeah, that's it. I'm happy. I'm good.
I don't think you've been back long enough to have a low either. You've just spent a month in Europe.
Yeah,
You're still on the
exactly.
high. Yeah. If you're
The
like,
low
well,
is-
fuck this. This week was shit for this. We're like, Georgia, fuck you.
I know, right? And it's kind of like, well, the low is coming home. So
Yeah. That's fair.
that's my low for the next couple
Coming
of
home
months.
to the
It's just-
rain.
Yeah. So yeah, no, to be honest though, Saturday, Sunday, I went for runs on both days and it was sunny. And do you know what? The park on Saturday, first day of sunshine in I think probably a month for Sydney, and it was roaring. There was so many people in the park. It was really
I bet.
cool. Yeah, it was epic. Park run was going. It's such a vibe.
Speaking of training blocks and whatnot, what do you feel about me introducing double runs for you? Double run days.
I heard about this. I think Nick had one last week. He's like, I was meant to have a double run day today, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I've put them into everyone's Sydney Marathon block this time coming around.
Look, I am a bit indifferent. Whatever. The only tricky thing is with a double run day is like I finish work not late. I finish at a normal time, 5:30, which
But
does
dark.
mean it's dark. So on a double run day, I'm going to have to do the night sessions in the gym because as a female, unfortunately, I can't go running in the dark, especially not in Sydney. I'm sure up where you are, it's probably a bit easier.
No, we've had some pretty hectic shit up around where we are.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
with females running at night. Yeah, I just don't
See-
think it's. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of just trying not to have my athletes do it if possible. If they can get to a treadmill, get to a treadmill.
Yeah, for sure. And look, my gym's not too far away, so I can get to a treadmill. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just one of those things. You just can't do that here. I've very rarely run in the morning when it's a bit dark, but I know it's getting light, so I'm okay with it. And I'm only ever running to the park, so it's not too bad. But I would never actually run out of choice in the
I
dark,
feel like
unless
anyone
it was
who's-
around Centennial, because like Centennial, not that it's lit up, but there's tons of people, so you feel pretty safe.
I feel like dodgy people aren't they're like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. early morning people. They're not 5 a.m. early. They're not get up and go getters, you know? Like, I feel like if you're running at 5 a.m., you're all right.
And look, maybe it's, I don't know who runs at 3 a.m, but maybe there's those people out there that are...
Ned Brockman, but he's all right.
He's all right. Yeah, look, no one chooses to be attacked. God, crazy. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do those double sessions. I think I'll have to do the back end in the gym. So be kind to me, those evening sessions.
They're only easy runs, so they'll be fine.
Oh, that's
probably
fine.
on the treadmill will be good for you to absorb a little bit of the impact on a double run day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, not opposed to it. Should be interesting. I'll check back in and see how I go after a few of them. I might hate you after the end.
Chances are you will. This block's going to be pretty hectic.
That's okay. I love a hectic. I'm so ready for it. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'm going to give it everything I've got. But I was talking to you. I'm just going to quickly do a little segue there. I was talking to you the other day, and I'm going to tell everyone. I was away, obviously. I went to Europe. Just going to bring that up again. And it was interesting looking at my watch data. And now I spoke to you about this, Matt, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I put up a story on my Instagram and I was talking about how bad my data was on my Garmin when I was away. And so obviously everyone was saying to me, like, you're going to have such a great time overseas because you'll be able to rest after the marathon and you're going to have, you know, a solid 4 weeks of rest, right? And so I thought, you know, I'll be able to recover and all this kind of stuff. But when I actually looked at my watch data, it was horrendous. And so I want to talk to you today about Garmin, Whoop, all of those like Apple Watch, the data that you get and how accurate is it? How much should we be looking at it? Is it important? Should we completely ignore it? All that kind of stuff. How do you feel?
I believe... So my response to Georgia was, when she said we should talk about this as an episode, I was like, this is the stupidest thing we could possibly talk about. But...
he really did, guys. He was like, this is dumb. I would say it's stupid and then end of episode.
Yeah. But the more and more I've coached and the more athletes that have come through, the more and more I get the repeat questions of like, my Garmin says this, my Whoop says this, I'm not going to train today because of this. So I'm like, okay, it is obviously worth addressing, even though I think I could be very, very short with this episode if I so choose, but I will choose to be a little bit more talkative about it.
Look, you've got your own opinion on it for sure, and that's fine. You're so allowed that. I remember when I first started training with you, that was something I really looked at. And I remember one stat in particular that I looked at was my HRV, and we had quite a few conversations about how to get it back into the green. And you and I had to talk about that, and you kind of gave me some tips and stuff. But I can imagine lots of people are asking that kind of question because they're like, my watch is saying I'm basically dead. Like, what do I do? So I think one of the biggest stats while I was away was that my HRV, which is on a Garmin, I'm not sure if that's on all the other watches and things, but it was pretty much in the red. And for context, if I get the flu, I'm in the red. Or if I've got like a really bad cold, I know I'm getting sick because my HRV starts to tank and I start to be in the red, and I'm like, okay, something's coming. And I usually always get sick. And so the HRV, from what I looked up online, is like all the different data points kind of averaged together, and it's an indication of how you might be feeling. Is that right?
Heart rate, HRV is heart rate variability. So if your heart beats at rest 50 beats per minute, just say, it does not beat once. It's not an even rate. It does not beat like whatever it is once per every 1 point whatever seconds. It might be 1.1, 1.3, 1.4, 1.1, 0.8. Heart rate variability is the variability in the beats.
Yeah. Sorry, oh my gosh. It's the time between the beats, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And so for everyone, it's quite different because I know my HRV average is around 40, whereas Nick's is around 70. Is that?
See, and this straight off the bat, like different metrics, like Garmin measures it like that. My HRV on my Whoop today is 122, but my HRV on my Garmin is 69.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Because I've seen people posting their Whoop, and I'm like, holy crap, my HRV is a quarter or whatever.
Yeah, my HRV can get to 170 sometimes.
Wow, but it's always around that 70 on your Garmin.
Yeah, I don't. To be fair, Garmin and Apple Watches aren't very accurate, so I just use Whoop.
Right. Okay.
In terms of that sort of data.
Yeah, but it's not something we really need to look at and go, oh, mine's only this, so I should be needing to see a doctor about my heart rate or anything like that. No. It's just an indication.
No, like if something was wrong with your heart, I would not be looking at like you would know what was wrong before you Garmin. You'd be like, there's something's fucking not right inside of me. I would not be relying on my Garmin to decide if I needed to see a doctor.
Yeah, look, I've got heart stuff in my family, so I'm not going to lie. When I first got my Garmin and I was reading up about the HRV, I was like, oh my God, I need to see my doctor. And then I thought about it and I was like, how funny am I going to sound going to my doctor? Being like, my Garmin says this. He's going to be like, absolutely not. So another thing I have worked out with my HRV, that if I have alcohol, it tanks.
Yep.
And so everything pretty much besides the travel when we were away, we still had our magnesium. We were still getting the same amount of sleep. If anything, we were getting better sleep. But it was tanked, I think, personally, because I was drinking. Because the minute I got back and I stopped drinking, it's gone back up into the green.
Alcohol is the most detrimental thing you can do outside of like illegal drugs.
Yeah, and it's crazy that it's legal because, I mean, it's wild to see how much that really affected everything. Sleep, performance, breathing, the lot.
Yeah, like they've done a whole bunch of sleep studies with like people who have 1 drink, 2 drinks, 3 drinks, and just one, and that's standard drinks, not like 1 beer, for example, but one standard drink. And like they would put someone to sleep for 8 hours and they would get like 90 minutes of actual sleep. Just because their eyes are shut doesn't mean you're sleeping, and just because you're in bed doesn't mean you're sleeping. But they would get like 90 minutes of sleep out of 8 hours after 1 standard drink.
That's crazy. I And I'm not against drinking. People can drink, do whatever you want. For me personally, I've chosen for this training block to not drink, and same with Nick. I drank at my wedding, I drank at my 30th, but really,
everyone's an adult. Like, they can do what they like, but like, if you're seeking we're strictly talking about performance.
Of course.
And
you don't obviously drink within your 100 days, because I know last week you talked about wanting to drink on an episode. So, I mean, you drink obviously to celebrate and stuff. Have you noticed that it affects your scores on your watch, or is it not something you look at, or your Whoop?
Yeah, if let's just say I did everything perfectly to get a 100% recovery score on Whoop, if I had one small glass of red wine or one small beer or one small scotch, I guarantee it would not be above 20%.
Yeah.
Guarantee. Wow.
It's so interesting. I know you always talk about nerding out on data. I really nerd out on the stats on my watch, but now that I've talked to you about this, I'm like, maybe I don't need to.
No. There's so many different ways to approach it. Number one is, if you are going to be invested in the data, look for trends. Do not look at things day by day. Like, if you are in the red 4 days in a row, whether that is Garmin, Apple, Whoop, whatever, chances are something is not right. If you are in the red 1 day, you will be fine. Go and train.
Yeah.
Unless you physically, intrinsically feel like, I woke up with a sore throat and a headache and my Whoop says I'm in the red. Okay, maybe I'm getting the flu or a cold or whatever. Sure, rest then. If you wake up and feel absolutely fine, check your Whoop and it says red, do not let that dictate your training or how you go about the day.
Totally. And do you know what? Sometimes I'll wake up, and Nick and I always wake up and we have it's stupid, but we have a competition between our sleep scores just for fun. We're always like, what'd you get today? And I'll be like 83. And then he, whatever. And it's a bit of fun. But I have noticed sometimes I can wake up and be like, oh, I feel so good. And then I'll check my watch and it'll be like 67. And I'm like, oh, I feel terrible. Yep. And it really affects your mind.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so stupid. Before all this smart tech came out, if you were training for a marathon, you would just wake up and go, do I feel good enough to train? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, I will train. Now we're like, I've got to check my Whoop, I've got to check my Garmin, I've got to check my Oura Ring for my sleep score, and we let these devices that 12% recovered, I can't possibly train today. Fuck off, go out, put your shoes on, go run.
Yeah, and there's people out there that do still train like that. They choose to, go by feel, and they don't look at their watch. They look at, especially during a race, they look at the actual official times along the course.
Yeah, I don't do that on the race, but every morning I just wake up and say, before I look at I don't have my phone in my bedroom, so I can't check anything. But I wake up and I just how do I feel? Do I feel all right? Am I stiff? Am I sore? All that stuff. I ask myself all of those sort of questions beforehand, and then I just go and I obviously just check Whoop, but I don't. Again, I look for trends rather than day-to-day data.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a better way to go about it, because getting up and being
that's how data works. Data is trend-based data. If you have a business and you sell $1,000 worth of stuff on Monday and then you do not sell anything for the rest of the week, you cannot the trend is you don't sell much stuff.
Yeah.
If you're red on one day and green all the other days, you will be fine.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. It's true. There's also the one that's training readiness. Have you? You've obviously seen that because you've got a Garmin. How much do you go by? Do you ever look at that? I know you obviously don't look at the stats, but is that anything someone should look at or not?
The thing with all smartwatches, and Whoop is the only exception to the rule, but any other, I don't know about Oura Ring, but Garmin, Apple Watch, Sunto, Polar, all of those ones, all it is algorithm based. So all it says is Georgia is a female between 30 and 35 years of age. Here are all the other women in our database that are 30 to 35 years of age. Georgia runs this far each week. We put her in this bracket based out of all the women who run this far in that bracket at that age. We average out what the average is, and then we send that to you. That's how it works. It is not personalized. It is not oh, how it predicts your VO2, even though it doesn't have anything to do with your lung capacity. Like, all of that stuff is just algorithm. It just predicts roughly what it is based on its other users and the data that everyone inputs.
Yeah, it's not like, good morning, Georgia. I see that your heart rate was like, totally.
It's gone, hey, every other 32-year-old woman who runs however far per week and is in summer at the moment is roughly this. So you're approximately that as well.
Yeah, totally. And the other one is there's one when you're during a run and it's about 1 kilometer in and it hits you with like how good you're running.
Performance condition or whatever it is.
I hate that one. That one kills my life. It's so depressing. Some days
that's just an algorithm as well.
Yeah, of course. And I read the other day that it's based off, you could have done that exact same run how like 2 or 3 times before. It takes the heart rate from those and then it decides whether that's better or worse than that. And so I don't actually take it seriously, but some days it's so sad when you're feeling really good and it's like -4 and you're like,
yeah, exactly. But you just said it there, you're like, I feel really good, and then it says -4, so now I feel bad. You're like, what world do we live in, honestly?
I know. And so look, sometimes I get like a +4 and I'll be like, Tanique, I got a +4.
But if you do get a plus, you're like, this is the best day of my life. Like,
yeah. You're like,
I don't let the negative hit me, but if it says I'm plus, I'm like, yeah, I am. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm smashing. I'm killing it here. I know. I honestly do that too. Sometimes I'm like, oh, -4, whatever, sucked in. Like I'm actually feeling really good. And then I think Nick got once a -14 and I'm like, are you dead? Yeah. Like, but I've thankfully never had that. But I have had a training readiness of 1 and I'm like, well, I'm going on my run. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I am, like I said, I am a big fan of just assessing it myself and then using the data to assess trends over time.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, look, my sleep score, I don't think I've ever got more than like an 85. And I think, actually, no, once I got a 93 and I thought I was on top of the world. But like, I've got friends who get 100 consistently and I'm like, okay, so what do you do?
Sam gets 100 fucking every night.
That's wild to me because I'm like, what do these people do? And then I'm like, I do those things. So why am I?
I don't get it. I sleep more, like I go to bed earlier granted I wake up significantly earlier than her, but everything we do is the same. And yeah, she just gets 100.
See, her Garmin likes her. My Garmin hates me. And do you follow the Garmin Instagram page? They post some funny stuff.
No.
Oh, they post some fun. And they know that their watch is like tricking us all. They
know it's an algorithm. I saw a podcast with the CEO or might have been the CMO or something, and they were talking about the algorithm.
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, we know it's not fucking legit, but like it works for us.
You love that, just like admitting that it's not, amazing.
They admit that it's like. They admit that it is not the way we perceive it. That we think it is this highly personalized, like this is exactly how I feel and I should follow it down to the T, when it is just a whole bunch of math put into a spreadsheet and spits out a number. Yeah,
and I mean, how can a watch really take a very accurate reading of your heart rate on your wrist as well?
Think about it, like that's why no actual serious, not even serious, just even remotely interested endurance athlete does not use a watch as their heart rate monitor. They buy an individual chest strap, so they get it because the watch is inaccurate. But for everything else we deem it as accurate. Like it just doesn't make sense.
It's gospel.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. And so, do you recommend that our listeners get a chest strap if they have a Garmin or an Apple Watch or whatever? Yep. Is there a kind of brand you recommend, or what's the one you kind of go to?
For me, Garmin have been they've been pretty unflappable. Like I can wear them swimming. They cop a whole heap of sweat and don't break. I've used the Polar ones and they didn't seem to have as much life.
Yeah.
I've used Wahoo. That's more of a triathlete brand, but they make really, really good ones too. They're a bit cheaper than Garmin. But I think the Garmin, I think it's the Pro, whatever the yellow one is for Garmin's pretty much like, I think that's the GOAT sort of in terms of heart rate monitors.
Yeah, they released one as well for women that like clips onto your sports bra. Yep. I'd love to know how accurate that is compared to the actual strap.
If it's the same tech, then it would be the same.
Surely, because
I can have a look into it, but yeah.
that's a game changer, because I have a chest strap that it's actually pretty good, not gonna lie. It's called a MyZone, and I had it from a gym that I used to go to.
Yeah.
And I
Does
used
the
that
points,
one.
right?
Yeah, that one. So it basically does the same thing, monitors your heart rate, all that kind of stuff. And I use that for a whole training block with you. But the only problem is it gives me really bad chafe. And so I would love to invest in a new heart rate monitor, either the Garmin one, or Nick just got the Coros
Oh yeah.
arm one. I wonder what are they? He just wanted to try it
Arm's
out.
pretty accurate.
Yeah,
I haven't used it, but from all the stuff I've read, it seems to be as accurate
there you
as the
go.
chest.
He's super excited about it because obviously he finds the chest strap quite annoying for him as well. I mean, for me, I would probably find it would rub against my side, but I don't know. I'll try it out and let you know.
Yeah, yeah, we'll work it out.
It actually reminds me I haven't been wearing it, so I really need to wear it.
Oh, this will actually make you mad. I'm sure
I'm excited.
Yeah. I was at the back end of that 40K run on the weekend, and it was just a zone 2 run. There was no efforts, and I was just like, I wasn't even paying attention. At the very end, I was like, oh, Georgia will be super annoyed because like my cruising pace is like well under her sub 4 pace, and then I checked my heart rate. I think I ran 40Ks in like 3 hours 30 something. My heart rate was 141. So I was pretty stoked about that.
That's like the bottom of my zone 2. That's almost zone 1 for me.
Yeah,
I hate you.
That's comfortably zone 1 for me. I didn't even get into zone 2, but I was pretty happy with that.
That's crazy. I know, like Nick's zone 2 is so low, and on the weekend we had that zone 2 run, and he actually made a funny video about it. It did really well. It's so classic him though. He was like, yeah, I'll run with you zone 2, like, yeah, whatever. And then he just starts running fast, and I'm like, mate, this is not my zone 2. You either commit to running my zone 2 or like piss off, because I spent the whole run trying to catch up to him, and he's like, oh, sorry, like I didn't realize you weren't like right next to me. And I'm like, are you for real? So it is definitely, zone 2 is one of those things, and that is one of the biggest things I get on TikTok and Instagram is people asking about zone 2, and I'm no expert, so I just kind of refer to you. But people are always like, oh my God, I wish my zone 2 was that pace. And I'm like, why are you looking at my zone 2 pace? You need to look at your own. Like, don't worry about it.
Oh, can we, speaking of heart rate zones, I just want segue back to the Garmin's and everything.
Yeah.
You know how they predict your zones on on Garmin.
Oh yeah, let's talk about this. So interesting.
So you can go in and manually change them on the app.
Yeah, because a lot of people I saw were talking online about how they were like, oh, I didn't realize, but the third bar in Garmin is actually my zone 2, and I've been running in zone 2 the whole time. And I'm like, does no one actually go in and amend these? Like, you can't just expect your watch to know.
Yeah, well, I think they do. Like, they just trust the data. Like, they think it's the gospel, but realistically, it's just an average prediction of men who are 30 to 35 who run X amount of kilometers per week. Your zone 2, and your max heart rate is this, and your resting heart rate is this. We predict it should be that, but like they have no idea, like literally zero idea.
Matt's getting so riled up, I can tell. I'm just gonna have a look at this.
I don't mind if people if they come from a place of not knowing, like that's fine.
Yeah.
What I get frustrated with is when people like treat it like the gospel, and they think like they're coming from a place of education. And they're like, this is right and this is it. And I'm like, well, it's just fucking not, mate.
Yeah. And so I'm just trying to work out for you guys how you can actually change your heart rate zones. Look, do you know what? You can probably Google it. But get on.
There's a YouTube video that's super easy to follow.
Oh, there you go. Jump on your watch, work out your zone 2. If you already, know it, work out how to change that so that you're more accurately, I know the watches aren't, even if you are working out yourself, it's still not super accurate unless you go and do, what's the test you have to go and do?
5K time trial.
Yes. So unless you go and do one of those.
Or you go and get like actual testing done at a lab.
And what's the testing at the lab?
You just get like heart rate zones and lactate testing done.
Lactate testing. I'm going to get VO2 testing done.
Yeah, that'll do your zones as well. You want to do VO2 and lactate at the same time.
Okay.
2 birds, one stone.
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask them if they do the lactate as well.
Where are you getting it done?
There's a place in Alexandria that reached out to me and they were like, would you like to come and do it? And I was like, sure, love to.
Yeah.
So what I might do is I'll compare the data and we can go over it and see the difference.
If they do VO2, they should do lactate as well.
Sweet. Yeah, it's the one we have to wear the mask. It's so creepy looking. The girl was like, oh,
it's rough.
Yeah, she's like, confirming you can run. And I was like, yeah, of course. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's brutal. You will almost definitely throw up.
Stop it. Are you for real?
If you do it properly, you're going to VO2 max. Like, if you do it properly, you will almost definitely at least dry heave on the ground.
Do you know what? That'll be me. I will, because I'm so easy. Like, I can do a sprint workout and I almost want to spew. So you should be fine. I'll take a bucket.
Great content. Yeah.
Great content. Well, that was the whole thing, right? I was like, oh, this is great. I can get like a video and so people know what to expect, because I love making that kind of content so that, like I'll try it so you can see what it's like firsthand. And oh my goodness, I'm scared now.
It's, I don't know. I just treat it as like one of those things you have to do. Like, I think if you're going to take your training, once you get to a certain level, I think like the benefit you get from the accurate training zones, and like, again, even like the 5K time trial, that I give that to all of my athletes. That's only so accurate, right? But like, I'd say it gets us in the 90th percentile, and that's enough for most people. Athletes who are like really trying to start squeezing it and really trying to get the most out of themselves, like, go spend, they're normally like between $300 and $500 depending on where you go. You get VO2 and lactate testing, and you get it down to the number. Like, they tell you exactly what your zones are, exactly how to set them up. They normally will tell you how to train in them as well. So
really, okay,
yeah, again, it depends on the place that you go and everything, but like the places I've gone to, and I've done probably 10 rounds over the last 2 years.
Okay, I was going to say, how often do you get it done?
I was sponsored by a company for a while, they'd get me every quarter. So
to retest.
You don't need to do it. Yeah, you don't need to, because we did a whole podcast series tracking it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So,
no, that's excessive.
Yeah, most of them, it's like, I would do it at the start of every training block, basically. Like, if you're going to do Sydney Marathon, for example, get it tested in the next sort of couple of weeks. And then you've got 3 months of solid training, and then you go recover, do whatever you like. And then when you pick another race, go get tested again, so you've got accurate zones for that training block. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, well, I'm getting it done on Monday, so I will be able to tell you guys all about it the week after. But it's in Alexandria, called Power Potential, and they do kind of all different stuff, like the boots, and it's a recovery kind of center, but also they have physios and stuff on board. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous now that you've said that I'm going to spew, but I'm excited.
If you go to True VO2 Max, it's hard not to.
Yeah, well, let's see how I go, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at their thing now.
Oh, he's sussing them out, guys.
Well, they do VO2, so I was just curious if they do lactate, but they might not.
They maybe not, but anyway.
But you'll still be able to, you'll get a really good idea from VO2 as well.
Yeah, okay. Gosh, all these different things to do and test and... Oh, anyway.
Again, like, it's like data, like... I think that's the other big thing, because that's kind of the driving theme of this episode is data, even though we're sort of putting it on the smartwatches and stuff. if you do not know how to read data and if you do not know how to act on data, data is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
if your Whoop says go to bed at 8 o'clock to optimize your sleep score, and you're like, get fucked, Whoop, I'm going to bed at 11 because I'm watching Netflix. Why are we
Me?
listening to Whoop? Yeah, but you know, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
So like, I've spoke about this heaps of times. Like, I go through seasons in life, and like one of the reasons I have a super strict schedule in Ironman prep is because I know my Whoop is going to say, hey, you've got to be in bed at 8 o'clock. Like, and I
And
follow
so you
it.
follow
And then
that?
I follow it within reason. Sometimes if I've done like a 10-hour training day, it'll say you need to be in bed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously, I'm not going to do that.
No, yeah.
But during Ironman prep, I follow my Whoop as closely as possible. And then when I'm out of prep, I might as well not have it on.
Okay, right. And so how does Whoop work? I've always seen people with them. I don't really know how it works. I've heard different stories about them. You buy the Whoop, but then do you subscribe to it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you just pay for the software, basically.
Right. And monthly.
Monthly, we buy ours annually. Like, I think it's $300 a year or something.
Wow. So you're like basically buying an Apple Watch every year.
Yeah, but I will say that
for the data, I get it. Like, it's, you know.
I will say, like, if you are going to buy a smart device to track mostly recovery metrics, I don't really value its obviously it doesn't have a screen, so it's not, you can't use it as a GPS watch or anything. So I don't value the activity tracker in it as much, but I think it is the most accurate recovery thing you can buy, and I would recommend it if you are going to follow it, because I notice a substantial difference when I follow it religiously and I do it. And like, I did it this prep. I've been able to train more. I've recovered more. I haven't missed a session. Like, if you do tick the boxes and you do what it says, like it does work.
That's when you get like the Whoop score, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, I see people like sharing their Whoop scores all the time.
Yeah, like every single morning I post myself pouring a coffee and my Whoop score and a countdown of the day, and the amount of people who message me and be like, your Whoop score is 12. Like, are you going to take the day off? I'm like, no, I'm going to go train.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, I feel fine. I'm going to train. Yeah.
If it was 12 3 days in a row, I'd be like, okay, maybe I will prioritize a little bit less intensity today and some more. That's the other thing too. Just because it says you're in the red, whether that is Garmin, Whoop, whatever, does not mean you don't have to train. Like, if you've got a super intense threshold session, just be like, okay, I'll just go zone 2. Like, still go out and train, still move, still do something. Like, it doesn't mean you need to fucking lock it down onto Netflix and not move for 2 days.
Don't take the day off. Yeah, I get you. And so when you're using the Whoop, you don't use it to track like a run or anything, or do you turn it on for that and your watch for that? Like, how does it?
Whoop automatically tracks activity.
Okay, right.
So it's actually really, really smart. Like, I can be like, whether it's running, cycling, if my bike's on the trainer and I'm not moving, it knows that I did a spin instead of a cycle, and it calculates that differently.
Oh yeah.
So the AI in it's really smart, but I would put everything onto my Garmin just for the GPS factor and the heart rate, so I can see it.
Yeah, right. Because I know like Garmin on a treadmill is not great, whereas obviously the Whoops.
That's another one. Garmin on a treadmill. Like, you need to calibrate your watch to the treadmill. Like, so many people just jump on and go, the treadmill says one and the Garmin says the other. I'm like, unless you calibrate it, like, the data is irrelevant.
Yeah, and don't make the mistake I did, guys, and forget to calibrate it. You actually calibrate it at the end of the run. So you compare the watch and the treadmill, and then it will do its thing. There's been quite a few times I've jumped on the treadmill and forgot to do it, and then I've done, 15K on a treadmill, and then my watch is like, you did 8, and I'm like, cool. It's so depressing. So make sure when you jump off the treadmill, you calibrate it. You can actually reset all of that as well on your watch if you kind of did it wrong the first time, because obviously different treadmills are different and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's it. Every single time you get on a treadmill, even if it is the same brand in the same gym, like you need to recalibrate it.
yeah, you do. So, and you just do that at the end once you've finished the workout. So once you've kind of hit stop and then it brings up that screen, it's like save workout, discard workout, resume, that kind of thing. There'll be a thing that says calibrate and you do it there. It took me ages to work that out. There was like 3 runs and I was like, shit, I did it wrong. Oh, such a way. And then, like I had to like manually enter it into Strava like a loser. And I was like, fuck.
There's nothing worse. Like, I know I say I don't look at Strava for anything, but it's so funny when like someone will, especially in swimming, it'll happen, and like Garmin watches don't track drills very well. Yeah. So it'll be like, you swam 2,817 meters, and then everyone will write underneath, this was actually 3.2 Ks.
Yeah. They're like, please don't take this away from me.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's happened to me, except the opposite. Like, it'll come up saying I swam longer, and I'm like, I'm going to take that. Like, it'll be like, you swam 2 and then it's like 05, and I'm like, I'll take that last little bit. And then you've got obviously Strava tax, and oh my gosh, always run that little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah, gosh. What else is there? I'm trying to think of all the other things on my Garmin that I look at, but I think that's kind of it. It was just super interesting to see how different it was when I was away, and now it's like totally back to normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, they thrive on routine, right? Like circadian rhythm, all those sorts of things. So, I would encourage, if you are going to start using the data, and I would not change anything in your day-to-day life, and I would actually sit there and track it just for like a week and get a baseline, and then start to change one thing at a time. And I sort of spoke about this when we went through my ridiculous Ironman daily schedule. Is like, okay, I'm going to go to bed 1 hour earlier, and just see what that does to the score, and track that for 2, 3, 4 days. You should see a change almost instantly, but 2, 3, 4 days, so you get a bit of a trend. And then, okay, cool, like everything went up a little bit, or my recovery score was a little bit better, or my sleep score was a little bit better, whatever it is. And then maybe I will, instead of having dinner an hour before I go to bed, I'm going to bring that to 2 hours before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And just see. And it might change, it might not. And then just test some different things, and then like actually use the data for what it is intended for. Do not take it at face value. Like, you have so much control over that data if you understand it.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea, because I think even with my kind of routine at bed, I'd love to be able to see whether in this training block I can really nail that down. And even though we don't look at the Garmin data and don't take it as gospel, I think it would be interesting to see after, I've had it for 2 years now, or a year or whatever, but looking at the trend of what it was with my current sleep routine and then changing it a little bit and just seeing if it improves. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I can try and get a 100 sleep score one day, but just trying to work out those little things that I can change to make it like to improve the data, I guess.
Yeah. So to improve data, first you must have a baseline. So wearing something for a year, 18 months, whatever it is. I mean, you can get a baseline after about a month. Yeah. And then just making changes that you think benefit you, and then establishing how that looks in the data. So the only way data is useful is if you are consistent, right? Yeah. If on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you are perfect, and on Thursday you go out to the club, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you are perfect again. Like, that is not, that skews the data. So like, you must be consistent. If you want to use data, you must be consistent with data. Like, that would be my biggest input for people. Like, people choose when and when they don't want to follow it, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, and which is why, like, when I was away, I couldn't look at my data at all, because I'm like, what's the point? One day
it's irrelevant.
Yeah, totally. There was no consistency.
You're on a plane, one day you had to have a couple of margaritas, like whatever. Like, you get really bad sunburn on the beach. Like, all that stuff affects it.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, not drinking enough water because, especially in
Yep.
some countries, you can't really drink the water out of the tap, so it's not as readily available. So
Yep.
that's a huge one.
Dehydration, processed food, the amount of salt you have, like everything affects data. That's why like the more consistent you are, the better. And then when you are inconsistent, whether that is for work travel, holiday travel, an event, whatever, you just kind of need to draw a line in the sand and re-establish a baseline moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do this time round. I'm going to really hone in on it. I'm going to track it and we're going to see how it goes and see if I can improve it. So that's something I'm going to check back in with you guys with my data in, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks before the marathon, and we can have a look at the data and see how it goes.
The other thing I would say is like, unless you...
Just for funsies, like just
just for funsies, yeah. But I would say for anyone out there who is still like, it was not going to be consistent with that, and they just they more wear the Garmin for the activity part of it. They don't really follow the actual data. Wake up and ask before you even look at your watch or your phone. I know that's hard in this fucking world that we live in, but just ask yourself, like, how do I feel? Wake up, touch your toes, and like just see how you feel. Like, am I sore? Am I stiff? Am I tired? You will be so much more in tune with your body and your mind. It's taking 30 seconds to a minute just to like assess homeostasis and then work out like what you feel like, and then go and check the data and then be like, oh, that correlates or that does not correlate, and then try and work out why it does not correlate.
Yeah.
That is a much better approach than
as I say, wake up and smell the roses.
Touch your toes instead.
Touch your toes. You might not have roses. That's fine. Another really good thing you can do is actually go outside and ground yourself. Again, a little bit woo-woo, but my mum always told me when I was younger, if I was ever kind of feeling off, or best way to wake up is just to go outside, put your bare feet on the grass, couple minutes, bring yourself back down to earth, and then start your day.
Mine's been mobility. I've recently started stretching.
I know. I have been seeing that on your socials. If you guys don't follow Matt, I don't know why you're not, but get on there. Every day he posts him doing all of his stretching, and it is a great reminder to get out and do that. So much so that in the last couple of days I've been going, I've got to do my stretches because Matt's doing his stretches and now I need to do mine. So you've influenced me.
I've actually seen, even though people haven't messaged me about it, I have seen more and more of the boys who I follow who would never normally stretch post things about stretching. So
and you're like, I did that.
Yeah, secretly I am.
I'm an influencer.
But I've had this app forever. It was like, it used to be a big CrossFit app, and now they've sort of branched into other sports. But I do, I've been doing 20 minutes every morning, and the first 2 weeks I was like, this is such a pain in the ass. Like, I don't actually want to do this.
Yeah.
And now I wake up in the morning and I'm literally like, I actually can't wait to stretch. Like, I can feel my hips are tight. I can feel my back's like a bit sort of hunched up, and I'm like, I can't wait to stretch. And I've been stretching for probably like 20 days now consistently.
Yeah, and I have really noticed your progress too. You've obviously been doing it every day consistently. You look like you're getting better at it. And I mean, it makes sense. You do all of this hard work and then you go and lay in a bed for 8 hours, not moving really. Your body's going to be sore. So waking up, doing some stretching, that's why lots of people do yoga in the mornings.
Yep.
Another form of stretching. So the app you were talking about, is that like it tells you what to do, or is it just like...
Yeah, it's called GoWatt. It just, it's actually really good. It puts you through like a mobility test. So it takes you through all these different, like everything from your ankles up to your shoulders. And like, I'll just use an example. It'd be like, if you can touch your toes is a pass mark. If you can touch your ankles, it's like 80%, shins, 50%.
I was going to say, knees, how do they measure 30%. That? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you just like slide it along on a scale of where you can reach, and then it assesses like your hip mobility is 10%, but your shoulder mobility is 100%, whatever. It just comes up. Again, it's just an algorithm. But and then it walks you through like a daily protocol, and you can pick 5, 15 or 20 minutes.
Cool.
Really good. And just it shows you all the stretches, there's videos that go along with it. But for anyone who's thinking about stretching does not help with recovery. It helps with performance because it makes you more mobile and you're able to move through better planes of motion. A lot of people think that stretching after a workout is a great recovery tool when it is actually a performance tool.
There you go. You heard it here first. Matt's told you you don't need to do it.
Do it
in the morning after your run.
You don't need to stretch post-workout as a recovery tool.
Yeah. But what? So you're saying do it post-workout?
You don't have to do it post-workout.
No.
I do it first thing. I just do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Look, and I think first thing in the morning is good. How do you feel about doing it before bed, though?
Yeah, when I was big into weightlifting, or actually when Sam and I first got together, that was like our routine. Was every night we'd stretch before bed. It was like we'd turn off the TV, dim the lights.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was just do some
Oh
downward dog. But
I'm such a child. I'm glad you picked up what I was putting down there because I was like losing it.
Yeah.
So you did it at night,
yeah. I don't think it's right or wrong. I personally think for mobility, like whenever you can get it in, get it in.
Yeah, because I was going to say I kind of find stretching at night a bit easier because I can kind of do it in front of the TV and I don't feel like I'm really changing too much of what I have to do. Whereas in the mornings, it's kind of like I've got such a set routine of like I wake up, I really quickly get dressed, I get out the door, I go for my run, I come home, I shower, I get ready for work and I go. Finding that it's almost like I'd have to wake up 10 minutes earlier to be able to fit in the stretching, to be able to, and then I might lose a bit more momentum. So it's nice to know that doing it at night is just as effective.
Yeah, and it's like I know he's listening, Ryan, one of my athletes. He bought the endurance recovery boots. Shout out endurance. So like just the compression boots, and he was like, when's the best time to do them? I was like, the best time to do them is just consistently. So whenever you can fit it into your schedule, as long as you do it day in, day out, that is the best time. It doesn't matter if it is before workout, doesn't matter if it is before bed, doesn't matter if it's before work, after work, on your lunch break. As long as you do it every day for the same amount of time consistently, you'll see results.
Yeah. God, I want a pair of those boots, but I just don't know if I could commit to the commitment, like to the doing it every single day. But again, maybe watching TV, best time to do it.
So that was the underlying point is finding a way to incorporate it into your schedule. So like for me, in the morning, like I have coffee and I'm a big American sports fan. So all the American sports shows are on at like 5, 6 a.m.
Yeah,
so I'll watch the YouTube clips from them. And I remember I was just sitting there on the lounge watching them and I was like, oh, from now on, I'm not allowed to sit on the lounge. So I started sitting on the floor. This is how my brain works. So I started sitting on the floor and I was like, okay, from now on, whenever I'm watching TV, I have to stretch. And that's just how it started. I just decided it went bang, bang in the space of about 30 seconds. And so now I'm not allowed to sit on the lounge or watch TV without stretching.
I like that. It's
so if I go after this, I'll watch something with Sam, even though I don't stretch at night normally. I will start stretching because otherwise I'll just be sitting on the floor by myself.
Oh, you're so funny. Whereas we're just like sit on the couch and then I'm like, I should have stretched. I forgot. Then I get up and I go to stretch. But I'm a bit like that. Like I like to make sure like the kitchen's clean before we sit down for TV, like that kind of thing. Same kind of principle.
Yeah, we try. I mean, we don't normally watch stuff at night. So like, that's normally our routine. It's like the house is clean and then we just go to bed and I'll play chess on my phone. That's right. I forgot about that. I am so into chess right now. I'm watching chess YouTube. It's outrageous. I know Maddie Morley's listening right now and she's just going to make fun of me. But I learned the London opening. I've been smashing people with the London opening. I'm killing it. Got an ELO of like 300, which is not very good at all, but it's good for me. So I'm happy with that. If anyone is a chess player out there and you have chess.com, hit me up.
If you guys saw my face right now, I'm like, is
I don't
this
even
another
care.
language?
You
What
don't,
are you even
you don't
talking
even
about?
get it. Chess is
I don't even
so
know how to play
good.
chess.
Then don't judge it.
I'm not judging. I'm not.
I taught myself like, I can't even remember when I started playing, like a month ago, whenever I started. I just learned.
Yeah, but like, how do you, YouTube? Like, how does someone learn how to play chess? I feel like you need like a grandpa to teach you.
You know, we live in 2025, right?
Yeah, but like, like, I didn't have a grandpa that played chess or anything. I feel like that's where a lot of people learn. Like, they had someone to teach them, not like YouTube.
Where did we learn everything? YouTube.
Oh, me, TikTok. Nah, just kidding.
Oh, TikTok, same thing. I bet you that.
Yeah, it is.
Chess with Dirks.
YouTube.
Check him out. He's awesome.
Oh my God, what has this conversation turned into?
Seriously,
you know
if anyone is a chess player, hit me up because I'm going to play chess.
I will lose this because I bet you everyone's a chess player and I'm the outlier here because it seems to be every time.
I get picked on a lot.
I feel like every time you and I have one of these debates where we talk about something, everyone comes back and you win. I've never won one of these.
Yeah, I think people just like me more than you. Georgia,
wow,
I'm a man of the people. Like, you are obviously not. We were speaking about this before. Big time social media person, very unapproachable. Like, you're not a person of the people like me.
Well, you're gonna love
10K
this. 10K
Instagram followers. Jesus.
He always says like, I've got this big following, and I'm like, dude, I've got like micro following.
I know.
I always get so embarrassed when I listen it back. I'm like, oh, I sound like such a Anyway,
that's why you don't listen to it back.
Yeah.
I'm out there answering people's DMs. You're back listening to.
I listen to.
You're listening to episodes.
I like to listen to them on the bus, not because I like to listen to myself talking, but more just so like I can improve. What else can we do? What else can we? Anyway, whatever. But
do you know how we can improve? We can podcast more. 2 episodes a week. Let's do that.
Don't say that. I don't have time for that. I don't know how you have time for this. Seriously, I have a full-time job. I work 6 days a week. Now, I'm going to just change the subject because we can't do 2 days a week, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to be realistic here. But shout out to our listener, Peter. She messaged me this week, and Matt, you're going to love this. This is one to kind of make you feel a bit good after an episode. Said, she can't wait for the next podcast to come out. Coach Matt did a good job while you're away, but we missed you as well. He'll love this message. Ha ha.
Yeah, I said we'd miss you.
Huh?
I said we'd miss you.
Yeah, I know. He's like, don't listen back to the episode, guys. And then I listened back to it, and he was so nice. I was like, that wasn't mean. I thought you'd roast me more.
I tried to layer mean and niceness. I tried to get the right blend. Like
a sandwich.
Yeah, I tried to do it. I feel like went all right.
Yeah, look, like any good big brother, they're like, something nice, something really mean, something nice.
Yeah.
Like my brother
would say. I can be mean to you, but no one else can be mean to you. That's how it works. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, we love you, you're adopted, I'll do anything for you. That's kind of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Do you have any questions that needed answering on the pod today? Or did you answer them all in your Q&A?
I feel like I answered all of them. I know there's 2 in our requests. That one of them's really long. We're going to do a whole episode on it, but let me just quickly check if one of them is short enough. No, that was a really long one. Okay, both of those are really long, so we'll address them in the next episode because, guys, cool. Also it is 7:45 and it is 15 minutes away from my bedtime. So that's it for us, guys. We will see you next week.
Make sure you jump over to Spotify and like us, follow us, subscribe. That really helps so that our episodes pop up in your feed every single week. You don't miss an episode. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Matt and I both on Instagram because we both post on there as well.
It's down in the show notes down below. All you got to do is scroll down. All the links are there.
Amazing. Smashed it. Have a wonderful week, guys. Talk to you soon.
Hooroo.
Bye.